Hey guys, it's your host Black Harvest Moon here. How's it going? So today's guide is about farming, and what I want to go over is that this is pretty much a huge convenience thing for 3 of your trade professions, such as cooking, alchemy, and trading, if you so wish. Otherwise, you can also use these as just money in general, just to grow over time. One of the things is that you can only have 10 fences at any given time of various sizes. You can get free ones just from doing a bit of some story quests around just south of Velia towards Heidel. There's a guy around the northern guard camp that hands out 1 per character. That's a free fence, costs no CP, but you can only have like 10 fences deployed at a time. I don't know if these singular fences add to it. One of the things that farming is really great for is basically a reduction of material cost for your crafts. Anything that exceeds more than like 3 or 4 materials at a time, blue quality will cover 5 to 7 of them for 1. So basically what happens here is when you have high quality, special quality actually, materials, if a recipe calls for like 3 to 5 or whatever, you only need to use 1 of the special quality. If you get high quality is the green tier, then you only need to use 1 of them is equivalent to 2 to 3 whites, and white one is obviously 1 to 1, which is your lowest quality, which you can actually just buy off vendors, but it's also expensive. If you're doing huge amounts of crafts, you're throwing at least millions away every huge batch, which is really dumb. The other thing is why it's dumb is because these things take about 4 hours to grow, and if you grow 4 hours of them at a time, and 10 of them, or even 8 or 9, depending on what you're doing with your farms, you can yield about 600 to 200 to 600 every slots of 8 or whatever. If I get a full batch yield at 100% just as they're finished growing, I yield about like 1,000 at a time, 1,000 to 2,000 or something. I don't even know. I have 3,000 right now, and that's over like 2 harvests. It's really like not too much. What you want to do to get the most out of your yield, for single plot farms, you can only yield a maximum of 40. It'll be very rare that you actually get up to 40. You'll roll anywhere from 30 to 40 on average. But one thing you want to look at is these bars here. These bars here basically dictate how well your crop is going to grow. Temperature is the rate at which it's going to grow, and basically humidity is also how much health it's going to get, I think. Oh no, it affects the blight. You can mouse over it and tell you right away. Generally, you want this this arrow within this highlighted bar here, especially with both of them. If they're in the darker areas, then it means it'll be not as great of an effect. So if you try to plant this particular crop in a desert or whatever, this bar will be like way off. Like the temperature could be way up here instead, but then the crop only accepts it like in this area here. So what you want to do is that every crop is different. So sometimes if you want to grow certain things faster, then you probably want to place it in different areas of the world. If you need to look at different areas of the world, you can also look at the, this temperature groundwater chart information. Don't quite remember. Where the hell is it? Oh, this is the temperature information. This is what it was. So this is where you can see where hotter stuff obviously is in the desert. There's like a red zone over here as well, if you really need it hot. And then like Calpheon's different regions as well. That's the same with the humidity. Humidity is also different as well. It's got charts here. This is like a very humid place right here by the swamp, and then as you go further into the lesser red areas, it's less and less. The main thing is that you don't want your crops to grow longer. A lot of people like to actually grow them long because they can tend to it more often or whatnot, just so they can get hard sharps and whatever. The reason being is that there's no point to actually having them grow longer. The more you harvest or breed, say like you're not harvesting and you actually just want it for the hard charts or whatever and the weeds and whatnot, then you probably want it blighted more often. But when you have this many farms, it doesn't matter. If you don't have workers on them, the rotation will go forever. Your crops will always need tending to, and then you can actually power up the skill really quick just from tending it yourself manually. But if you have as many farms as I do, you won't be able to run out of farms to tend like permanently. You can go around tending this all day and it'll still continuously get blighted or whatever. So there's no reason to let it grow slow. Once it reaches, if it reaches 200%, I highly suggest you breed it instead rather than harvesting it. When you plant breed, you have a chance to make more seeds or higher tier seeds. Obviously, I'm at the maximum tier, so you can only have specials, special strawberries. And then what you get out of it as well from breeding is also fruits. Fruits, you can use this for alchemy crafting and also huge amounts of alchemy experience for making oils. This is one of the few ways to centerline and streamline a particular fruit that you need. Certain crops grow X type of fruit. It's not randomized. Strawberries give you fruits of abundance. Peppers give you like crimson flames and kind of things. Those are very popular ones. There's other ones too. You can research it online. The fastest crop that grows would be sunflowers. Those things grow like weeds. I think you can get them like every 2.5 hours. Every 2.5 hours you can harvest them if you have them fertilized. And fertilizing is, you can get fertilizer by drying barley or grain. You can dry any of the grain type materials to get fertilizer. And then if you want to power up the fertilizer, you can shake it with leavening agents. So you shake it with leavening agent. And then if you want it to get to organic, you have to do something else to it as well. Completely forgot. But one thing I want to note here is that when you're using fertilizer, try to stand in the middle of all your farms. I have my farms placed in this particular setup is because I can actually fertilize all of them at the same time. What happens is when you use the fertilizer or the water or whatever, it throws it in a huge AoE circle around you, and it'll tag all the farms. So if I'm standing in the center of like my 4 farms here and I hit fertilize on my hotkey here just to utilize the item, it'll tag all of these farms here. So this is 3 hours and 59 minutes before it's done, and this one as well. So if I use another one, it should max out. I generally stay with the byproduct because it only takes 2 to max out the bar. So there you go. This bar is full now, and this bar is full now. So as long as this bar is full, your crop will grow 20% faster. The moment it empties out, it slows down. So basically for every 5 minutes, it'll check this and then it'll erase itself a little bit based on how many crops you have. So with 10 plot farm here, the fertilizer will go down really quick because each crop will absorb amount of fertilizer on its own. Whereas like these single slot farms, they almost like never run out of resources because there's only one crop draining from the resource. So the fertilizer and water meter here never goes down. So basically my healthiest crops are these single ones here. Even if they get infected or whatever, when I go harvest them, they still almost give full yield. And the other thing is, the more important one is actually water. So when you add water into the crops, it actually prevents this moisture bar from going down. The further that moisture bar goes down, I've noticed is that when it finishes growing, you actually yield less. So the more water you actually feed it, the longer the better your yield will be. Like as long as this moisture is pretty high up, anywhere above I think 80% or even 90%, you'll get your 30 to 40 yield. Otherwise, it could go as low as 20. Low yield is like 20, 14 or something. I don't think it goes below 14, but I remember if you yield 20 fruits on a harvest per slot, it's really shit. That's the difference between, in 10 slots, difference between 400 and like 200 special crops. And because they're special crops, each one is worth 1 craft, so you basically just threw away 200 crafts in a sense. So that's why I always breed it if I overgrow. So another question is probably, how do you send your workers into these things? You have to click this garden button here at the top left, and then you'll notice that there's a list here. I don't know why there's this location information here, but anyways, it'll say list. You click on list, and then you can send a worker from anywhere in the world. You don't need it connected. Your worker can literally come from anywhere, and your workers will automatically tend to the whole garden, so preventing it from getting riddled with bugs or plants or whatever. So you don't have to tend it yourself. You do that only if you're not looking for hard shards or sharp shards in a convenient location in your own, like, you know, base. The most important thing here, though, is that wherever your workers are being sent from, they also periodically gather weeds for you. The weeds itself are actually very, very beneficial. So you can either sell these for cash, people will buy them. It's for alchemy. It's for very basic alchemy, but over a period of time they will gather weeds and store it into the storage for you. I have like 1,400 there, and then I've got some more over here. This is like Kepler here, so I've got 406 in my Kepler. Most of these guys are from around the world because they're just not doing anything from somewhere else. And then when they're done, they'll run back. One of the other things with that is that it also helps level a worker really quick from tending a garden, from what I've noticed, especially a 10 slot farm. And yeah, it's basically a huge material reduction. You can even grow cows in this game. A lot of people are like, you can have cows? Yeah, you can have cows. Cows take the longest to grow, but they also are the easiest to manage because they take up like 4 slots. So you do need a huge fence garden for those. Otherwise, you can only hold like 1 of them per garden unless you have a 10 slot. 10 slot, you can hold 2 of them. 2 of them and 2 crops or whatever, which is very useful. What cows can yield is they can give you ox hides, it can give you beef and mainly milk as well. So it can give you meat, hide, and milk, all 3 at the same time. And it's 4 slot. There's times where I've yielded 120 milk off of just 1 special haystack. Milk is one of the more heavily crafted needed ingredients for any form of cooking at the higher levels. Meat is always needed for any form of cooking for a lot of the recipes. And the hides, you can use it for either gathering tools or crafting gruntle armors. And basically that all splits in. If you need eggs, you can also make chicken farms. Chicken farms will get you eggs and chicken meat. I don't know if it gives you anything else apart from those. It's to get those, you can either buy it off market or create it yourself. One of the things people don't know is that you can actually create the bait haystacks. It's from regular drying weed X50. Okay, we're just gonna dry this. I don't think I've ever actually made a chicken farm. I have 200 slots open. I have too many seeds. This is unbelievable. Alright, what do I get from drying 50 weeds? I've never actually dried 50 weeds. What does this make? It makes a haystack. Okay, so that's how you make... that's how you make a cow farm. You dry 50 weeds. 50 weeds turns into a haystack, and you can plant that haystack in. Where did it go? Oh, it's down here. Yeah, so you get a basic haystack, and then obviously it's not a special haystack, but if you need to get it to a special haystack, just plant these and keep breeding them, and then eventually you'll get the higher quality tier. Then you'll get the special quality if you just keep breeding them, and that's how you can start generating stuff from your own. So you don't actually need to buy it if you want to self-sustain. This is where most of my ingredients come from. If you need to harvest or whatever, and your main is like somewhere across the world, have an alt parked here. Park your alt just on your farm, and then switch over to whenever it needs to be harvested or whatever, or breeded. It's very beneficial, takes very little time, and generally it goes for hours at a time. So in 3 hours, this is generally when you go check. You can go grind for like 3 hours or something, come back, and then you'll be like harvest this and be like, oh shit, fuck ton of materials that I can use now. So you can tell like it's only been a few minutes and these bars are already about 10% down. This is why you need to kind of check it. One of the extra things you can add into the farms in terms of farm equipment is like logways and scarecrows. Scarecrows, I've determined that they don't really do much. It just kind of helps your plant grow faster rather than being protected. If you have it there, this icon here on the plot will shine. It'll say that it is being protected. I think I had a waterway on one of these. It's on this one. So this one I have a waterway here, adjusts the water absorption rate. Basically it cuts the water absorption rate down by 50% or so. If the region rains in an area, it'll automatically water, so you don't actually have to do anything, which is a bonus. The absorption rate is, it lowers, you basically have to put less water in. Having a waterway is much more useful than the scarecrow. The scarecrow basically only stops it from being hindered by birds. When birds attack your crops, it loses a bit of its growth health and takes like a % or 2 backwards. but it'll still grow properly. It doesn't really affect the outcome. Waterway, however, does affect the outcome because, you know, you need the moisture for good rate of growth. This one's at 99%, and this one without a waterway is already lower. I think some of these are like 97. That one's at 100. Wow. Yeah, but as long as you can keep these up, I believe when this is 0.5%, the moisture actually goes up rather than down, very slowly. But it's checked every 5 minutes or so, I believe. Yeah. So as long as that's up, when you harvest later, it'll be huge. I'm gonna be having a huge harvest because, as you can tell, my inventory is full of seeds, and generally I always just keep breeding the 200% until it's all done. So that's it for farming, guys. I hope this kind of helped you out. If you're not doing it, maybe you should, because this is a very beneficial, easy task that can be done. When you're breeding, you can get anywhere from 1 to 3 seeds at a time, and when you get 3 seeds, it's just like, oh, every time you, oh, there's 3 seeds right there. That's the other thing with breeding. I've noticed that when you breed at 200%, I tend to yield more seeds rather than lose them. And when it's near like 100 to 150%, I don't breed them and just harvest. Unless my harvest is like shit. Like if I harvest like 2 of the plots and I only get like 20 to 30 like fruits or whatever, then I assume the whole crop has been ruined, so I should actually just breed them instead. But could be wrong. But that's for the gist of farming. Oh, another fruit of abundance. Oh, and then also renting out your fences. That's right. One last thing is fences. So you can go to your search NPC in the top right here and just click and just type in fence, and it'll show you where and for how much CP. If you're looking for a commodity fence, you probably want the 6 CP fence. It'll give you 7 slots each. But when you have enough CP, or if you have lots of CP or you just want to do a lot of farming, get the 10 slot fence, which costs 10 CP, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 CP equals one plot. The 6 CP one is a bit more, you get a bit more out of it, but then again, you can only have 10 farms in total. And the smaller one is 3 for a 4 slot. And of course you can get the free one, that's 1 slot from just a new character, as I mentioned near the beginning. And also, if you don't touch your farms for like nearly a whole week, they'll automatically remove themselves and whatever's in it. Especially your seeds just get destroyed, and it'll go into the nearest town storage if you don't tend to it for a week. Anytime you put new crops into it or take crops out of it, it'll refresh the farm removal time back to 7 days. So as long as you keep checking it within 7 days, then yeah. And of course, like, my world is no longer fully connected. It's completely split apart and taken apart because I have it all in these farms here. So I have basically about 80 CP tied up in farms right now. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helped you out. Please feel free to check out these other guides around here, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye for now.